Today on the Kickback.
One specific party, someone was swinging from a chandelier at one point, and people saw that, and it just turned the place upside down.
What's up, what's up, what's up? It is your girl Dom, and welcome back to the Kickback. So the question of the day is, do Ivy League students actually get turned? Do they actually know how to get down? The convo today is with partiers, party people, party episode. I have 8 students here who are going to talk to me about the party scene at their university. This week's cast heading to the Kickback are Brandon from Cornell University, Gabrielle from Yale University, Landry from the University of Pennsylvania, Mike from Harvard University, Santi from Princeton University, Cheyenne from Columbia University, Zay from Brown University, and last but not least, Angelina from Dartmouth College. Grab your favorite outfit, a pair of party shoes, and let's head to the Kickback. Hey guys, welcome back to the Kickback. And today we have our second cast here with us. We have some party kids in the building to tell us about parties at the Ivies. So first we're gonna have them introduce themselves, starting with Cornell.
Hi, my name is Brandon. I'm a junior at Cornell, and I'm an environmental science major.
Hey, my name is Michael. I'm a senior at Harvard studying sociology and psychology. I'm from Baltimore County, Maryland.
Hi, I'm Landry. I'm a junior at Penn. I'm studying music and sociology, and I grew up in 𝐋𝐄𝐓'𝐒, but my family lives in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
What's up? I'm Santi. I study sociology. I'm a rising junior, and I'm from North Jersey.
Hey guys, I'm Angelina. I'm a senior at Dartmouth, and I'm an environmental studies major and psychology minor, and I'm from Athens, Georgia.
Hey guys, I'm Isaiah. I'm studying economics here at Brown University. I'm a junior, and I'm from New York.
Hi guys, I'm Gabrielle. I'm a sophomore studying economics and sociology. I grew up in Hewlett, New York, go Nassau County, but now I'm in Queens, so.
And last but not least, Columbia.
Hey y'all, my name's Cheyenne and I'm a senior at Columbia studying film and media, and I'm from Seattle, Washington.
So the first question I want to ask you guys to kind of warm us up and kind of get us familiar with the party scene is if you can rate your party scene at your Ivy 1 to 10. Okay, I'll give you guys a second to think of what your number you would give it. And then, yeah, on 3, I'm going to have you all put up your numbers, okay? Zay's already on top of it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I think the lowest I see is Columbia. So I'm going to have you start with saying why you would give it a 6.
Like after the first year, like everyone's on campus partying and like that's really fun, but the campus itself is just bars around it, and then like you kind of get old of like you kind of get like bored of seeing that same old crowd. So I would say like Columbia itself is a 6, but like when you have New York, it goes to a 10. So other than that, I would give it a 10, but the campus itself is a 6.
So at your school, most people party off campus?
I would say not most people. There's probably like a nice mix, but you just have both options. Like you can be on campus if you want, but if you like want to, see more exciting things, meet more cool people, go to different events, like you're going to go off campus.
Okay. Yale, can you remind us what score you gave Yale and tell us why you gave it that score?
Sure. I gave it a 9, but I think I'm going to put it up to a 10. What? Because let me just visualize it for you guys. Think of Yale like your local city or suburban public high school, but without like the social hierarchy, and like every single social group hosts like equally fun parties, and even like the general school functions are like fun. Every single social group, theater, sports, a cappella group is a huge thing at Yale. Frats, and then just like personal friend groups, like we all throw parties, like we all love to dance, which I think is just a really nice, like that's like the culture at Yale. Like we just love talking to each other, we love conversing. Like the 3 things we say is like, do you want to get a meal, do you want to study together, do you want to party together?
How about the social Ivy pen? What score did you give it and why?
So I initially gave it a 9, but I also think I might bump it up to a 10. I just feel like kind of similar to Gabrielle, there's really events for every kind of person. There's always something going on. When I first got into Penn, I thought the whole work hard, play hard motto was cliche. I was like, this is so corny. Like, we get it. You guys like to party. But I feel like it's definitely true. Like most people, if they're not studying, they're going to be going out. Like we study all day, maybe till like 8 p.m. And then the second 8:30 hits, people are getting ready, pre-gaming, going either to a bar or a club or like on campus frat parties, also with like arts groups as well. It's definitely lit. There's always something to do.
So Penn's kind of known for being lit all the time, and Brown's kind of known for chilling. So what score did you give it, and why?
I gave it a 10. You know, I was confident from the beginning. I kind of agree with what they said about, you know, Yale and Penn. Brown is comfortability, I'd say, and with that, you know, can party more. So I say that, you know, everyone's really inclusive. So with that being said, you know, whatever vibe you want to fulfill that night, you can really do that. You know, it's an open campus. So we have the bar club scene. We have all the events from acapella groups to sports to anything else. And, you know, if you want to, you know, do a little weird vibe or whatever you want to do, like it's accepted. And there's someone that's going to meet you and match your energy. And that's where that 10 came from.
I love that. Okay. How up in Ithaca? Cornell, what score did you give it, and why?
I gave Cornell a 7, but I would like to give him an 8 for the effort. I know a lot of students, pretty much partying is like generally accepted across all groups between sports, frats, and like smaller clubs and groups. But unfortunately, in like recent years, like a lot of the larger events where like people tend to get more wild, they've been cracking down on that a lot, especially in college town, like the police and administration. I've been trying to like limit the large events, which tend to be, I think, the most fun. But so I would say a solid 7.
Oh, Dartmouth.
You know, the stereotype of Dartmouth is that we love to drink, and I think that's like the number one stereotype that holds true. I would say our motto is work hard, play harder. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, there's not much to do. Like Greek scene is all that there is. Like that is the going out scene. But that being said, it's super inclusive and anyone is welcome in pretty much any frat. So just like whatever vibe you're in, you just go to that house that's going to provide that vibe for you. You'll go out casually one night and you might end up blacking out. Like it's just such a casual vibe. You can make any night your own. So I would give it a 9.
How about at Harvard? Do you guys only study or do you guys actually go out?
No, I think a lot of people think that, you know, at Harvard we only study. I gave mine a 7 just because, like, obviously it's still Ivy League, not compared to state schools, it's not that lit. But among the Ivy League, I'm willing to say it might be number 1. The only person I think might compete is Penn. I'm gonna be very honest. They're lit over there. But the thing about Harvard is, not only do all the social orgs throw their own parties in the ways that like everybody's been talking about, whether it's acapella groups or sports groups, but Harvard is also at the hub of Boston, which has dozens of other colleges around it. So you got BU, you got BC, you got Tufts, you got MIT, and all these different colleges usually flock together to parties. So you might meet a whole different student body depending on the social orgs or the social events that you go to. And I think that's like the big thing about Harvard that makes it lit.
So Princeton isn't really a college town now. So how would you rate yours and why would you give it that?
For sure. So Princeton is definitely a mixed bag because, as you guys know, we definitely have our eating clubs, and with like, you know, with having separate social entities and having like the entire nightlife revolve around it, there's bound to be like implicit hierarchies. So for example, there's some eating clubs that you can literally walk in, and there's some eating clubs that need to be on a list or you need to get a pass to get in. So obviously it creates this weird system of like power dynamics between upperclassmen and lowerclassmen, as well as some eating clubs have very implicit racial and socioeconomic like stereotypes. So for example, like there's like some eating clubs that are like aggressively white and like you'll never catch me there on a night out ever. But a lot of my Caucasian friends will literally be posted up. But there are some eating clubs that really go ham on like diversity and safety. And the fun thing about Princeton is that it's really cheap to get lit. And they serve you beer at the eating clubs and there's always security. There's this culture of people really caring for each other. And because we only party with each other because we're in suburbia, it actually creates a really, really fun community for us. So it's really, really cool. So again, there's like pros and cons to it. So that's why I'm giving it an 8. It could always be more inclusive and a lot better. But again, we're doing what we can with being in the middle of nowhere. So
you kind of touched upon how it's sometimes harder for underclassmen to party with upperclassmen. So I kind of want to start our conversation like going back to like new student orientation to when you were a freshman and you came to campus and everybody just wants to meet people and party. So at your Ivy, was it
really easy to get into parties? Was it easy to make friends? Did people know each other from like the home states, or what was that like? And now anybody can speak, and you can also ask each other questions.
I'll jump in first. So I think at Penn, at least that first week of NSO, it's definitely easy to go out. Like, it's kind of geared towards freshmen. The parties that are like very clearly open are thrown kind of for people that don't really know their way around yet, I think. But I do think as time goes on, they start to get a little bit more exclusive in terms of like, you have to kind of know your way around a little bit more. And especially for certain events, you're going to have to, you know, get invites or like know people that are throwing them, rather than right at the beginning when it's just kind of everyone wandering the streets.
I'd say that here at Brown, well, so I'm an athlete. I play football. So what they do for the athletes that start in the fall, we kind of come early, which makes sense. And you're just on campus and you're just an athlete. So I'm a football player and they're the soccer players, and we're all just on campus, just little kids. And the upperclassmen are just like, you guys don't even know what's about to happen. So it's very fun because as camp kind of ends, you know, we just start partying. School hasn't started yet, so we're having a good time meeting people. At that point, you're like, okay, it's just these people. You know, I feel like this is my athlete group. And then slowly they start to integrate in orientation, and you're seeing just tons of people come in. And what Brown does, they have like a system where if you feel comfortable going into general orientation, you can do that. Or you can kind of be in groups where it's like, okay, well, I'm an international kid. And if I'm from this part of the world and I want to meet people who I can relate to. So they have their own little groups and sections where they meet each other, and then they have different parties that are, you know, run by the institution. And those are more, you know, counseled, and then other parties where they can mingle, meet, and then integrate further. For instance, example, the first night, everyone's on campus now. I just met the world, I'd say. Like, I'm like, wow, I've met kids from all around the world like that. That's just kind of amazing.
Kind of it's like a mixture of like Brown and UPenn, because Yale, we have our orientation, we call it Camp Yale. All the first years are going to like learn the ins and outs of like college, basically. But the cool thing is that a lot of people, regardless of whether or not you're a first year, will go to school early and enjoy Camp Yale because it's just like summer. Kind of, but it's like with all your friends who like you couldn't see like 1,000 miles away, now like congregated in one space. And so during Camp Yale, you see literally like so many darties, like so many just like parties, a lot of themed parties too. And then maybe you can like do like a sort of like chill back and stuff at like, you know, your friend's common room, which is like basically a sort of like living room space that all the dorms have at Yale. We have this like other club called Toads, where like every single Wednesday night they like rent it out to only Yale students, and Yale students only have to pay $5. So it's just a bunch of Yaleys where you're just like going hammer, like dancing and stuff on Wednesday nights. It's like, come on, but people do it, and it's like it's first years to seniors, and everyone's enjoying the time. So
I've always wanted to go to Toads, by the way. Like, I always see my friends like in their snaps.
It's actually so much fun.
The cool thing about Princeton is that like Greek life is very, very low key, and not a ton of people are in it. So like, again, like our social life revolves around the eating clubs, which don't have things like ratio. We don't have to pay to get in. It doesn't matter if like you're an underclassman or upperclassman. If you're on the list, you're on the list. If you have a pass, you have a pass. Actually, like Princeton does a really, really good job like on the onset on making like really, really like freshman communities, if you will. They put us in Z groups, which is like about 15 to 20 people on our floor, and they put us under like an RCA, which is like our kind of like our upperclassman advisor. So you already have like a little squad going in. So for example, like you and your squad will want to go to like the street, which is like what we call the eating clubs, which would be like the equivalent of like a frat row. You just pull up with your friends, and it kind of like your access to eating clubs kind of flourishes as you like spend more time at Princeton. So for example, you'll find people in your extracurriculars that are upperclassmen, they'll start hooking it up, which is really cool. So for example, like I do student government at Princeton. I'm actually the class president for my class, for class of 22, which is a lot. It's a ton of fun, but so my upperclassmen friends that were like in student government, they'll be like, yo, Santi, like, do you want to come to Ivy tonight? Do you want to come to Capping Gown tonight? And then you'll be like, hell yeah. And then you pull up with your upperclassmen friends, and it's kind of like you gotta get integrated to all the other years. And it's really, really cool. Also, it's very financially accessible. So for example, you don't have to pay to get into anything.
At Dartmouth, we have something called the freshman ban. So for the first 6 weeks of your freshman fall, you're not allowed to enter any frats. But then after homecoming, you're allowed to go. So you can pull up to any frat. It doesn't really matter who you know necessarily. Similar to Princeton, It's very cheap to have fun. So it's really accessible to everybody. The social scene gets more exciting the older you are. So we're not allowed to rush until our sophomore fall. So when people start joining Greek houses, that becomes like a whole new world to them in terms of social life. But of course, a lot of people elect not to do that, and they're still very welcome in any space, even if they're not affiliated. As you grow older, a lot of upperclassmen move off campus, so there's a lot of off-campus pre-games and whatnot. And I think as you start to like make more friends around campus and get to know people who live in frats, it's easier for you to be allowed to go upstairs to like the rooms. So I would say like you'll usually find freshmen like in the basements a lot, and then like upstairs is more for upperclassmen. But again, there's not like a strict hierarchy or anything like that. Like if you know someone, like you can be a freshman and still be welcome.
I'll jump in for just in terms of accessibility. I feel like this is something that has to be mentioned when talking about Penn social life. I definitely agree that there's always going to be parties on campus that are free. Like if you want to drink for free, you can always find somewhere with like a cheap handle of bankers that like if that's what you want, you can get that. But I think Penn is unique in also the extremely bougie side of our social life that we have as well, which I sometimes take part in, but sometimes it's just way too much. I mean, every weekend, I would say like 3 nights a week, there's like frats will rent out certain venues downtown in Philly. It's like bars, clubs, ballrooms, and like have these huge events that they sell tickets to. They might have like guest DJs or performers come. And this is happening every weekend. So like some people, if they really like the club scene, like that's what they're doing all the time. But then you're thinking there's transportation, there's Ubers to get there. You're buying drinks there. You're buying these $25 tickets on regular weekends up to like $80 on like orientation or fling. Like it's really crazy. So yeah, that was I think what took me aback when I first got to Penn. I was like, people do this all the time. Like what is going on? But there still is, you know, the stuff for people who don't want to drop money as well, which is really nice.
Yes, just to talk about Columbia as well. I mean, we have like a similar like phenomena that happens. Like there's definitely parties, but also just like to talk, I mean, what I'm going to talk about is going to make my school look bad. But like when you're going to parties on campus, like everything is very small and everything's limited. It's expensive to buy alcohol. And if you're going to like a party at EC, which is our senior campus living, or like things are just going to get crowded. It's going to get super hot in there. And then you're like, okay, well, I don't want to be here at all because it's like we're in like, I don't know, a 25-foot room. And then there's like 100 kids in there all trying to get crowded in there. So it's just like that's not fun to be at. But again, too, like during our first week, I don't really remember my first week of freshman year. You know, there's a lot of partying going on there. But we did have clubs to go to. We did have our own campus parties. But again, you're going to pay those $20 fees. I think that was like our minimum to go to all like the downtown parties. And then again, like a $70 Uber if you're coming back with like a group of 5 though, which you can split, but still everything's going to always be expensive.
I know you guys mentioned that like nightlife can get really expensive. Like how do you guys manage to like afford it or like make it like sustainable, or like how do your friends like try to manage like the high cost of like turning up?
I mean, I'll say I'm personally a Figley student, so I can't manage doing that all the time. I mean, I do work as well. So a lot of the time my money from work is going towards trying to go to those events. But I mean, a vast majority, unfortunately, of the people that do participate in this lifestyle don't have to think twice. And it is, you know, just something that they have money to just waste in a way. I mean, not waste because it is fun, but they can just go to everything. If you go to a school like Penn and you want to be involved in that lifestyle, you have to know your limits and know what's like healthy for you to try and keep up with, because it can get really stressful if you're trying to, you know, live this life if you don't have the funds to do so.
I want to bring up a point that Gabrielle brought up. We also have like a Wednesday party night called Whiskey Wednesdays. And I thought that was kind of strange. So I'm like, well, I should be doing schoolwork. Like that's what I'm here for. But I mean, if you guys are all going out, yeah, that makes sense. The copay is not too much, especially if you know someone. Like you can kind of always finesse your way in. I feel you can finesse your way. You guys know what finesse is, so you guys know how that kind of goes. I'm partying with people from PC, people from Bryant, people from RISD, and that's really fun because that Rhode Island School of Design, like those people are really intelligent, really talented, and their way of thinking is just, you know, really artistic, and it's amazing to see like their culture and party life, and that integrates into Brown. So like that first year experience is just like, okay, well, I'm at this kickback, but this is a kickback because she's from the ceiling, and she's just like, what is she doing, and what like what's happening? And there's like alcohol everywhere. It's just really fun, and yeah.
Radio House, which is like our radio club that literally like has their own apartment, and in the basement every Friday night they bring in artists like from like the Northeast or anyone who's willing to travel and stuff, and you'll get like punk rock, you'll get rap, you'll get singer-songwriter. Like I performed a song, and I'm like I'm a singer-songwriter, it's kind of slow, whatever, but like I kind of started the show, and then at the end of the day people were like punking out, like it was full on rock, and it was so much fun. A lot of the things like, like food is free, like alcohol is free, like if you're paying for this, something is wrong.
Over at Cornell, I would say Greek life is pretty big. It gets kind of exclusive as you become an upperclassman, but definitely during O week as a first year, that week, the nightlife is just eye-opening. It's just ridiculous. Like you go into college town and every house is thrown down. There's just crazy parties. There's drinks going around. So it's a lot of fun, and you get to meet people, and it's not exclusive during that week. And upperclassmen tend to take advantage of this week. But like when you go back a little early, and you get to just be with all your friends. After the summer, you get back in the fall. It's a very exciting time. Bars are definitely big for upperclassmen. On Wednesday nights, I know you guys were talking about it before, we have a fishbowl night at one of these, at a club, which is pretty fun. A lot of dancing there. So it's a good time. Freshmen can't join frats or sororities until their spring semester. So that's why O week is good, because it's just an open party, and everyone gets to go in, and it's a lot of fun.
In terms of the college and what they do, the college does a good job of trying to set up a lot of different structures for students to get accommodated. So there's a lot of pre-orientation programs for people that want to make friends and communities before they get there. There's also like a big first chance dance that has all of the, freshmen in their class go to that one dance together. But the thing about it is that all of the Harvard freshmen live in the same location, which is this central yard in the middle of campus. So not only is it good for you getting acclimated to the entire world of Harvard, because you're in the center of where everything is, but also you're constantly around your class 24/7 and kind of, relatively, depending on your connections, like you're going to be hanging out mainly with freshmen. And that's on purpose, so that you can get close with like everybody in your class. You automatically have access to all of the social org sponsored events that are going on, which upperclassmen are going to be at as well. But you also have this big chaotic dorm party nightlife where everybody just kind of wants to get out there and like throw parties in their own dorms. So you have people just like hopping from party to party every single night. My freshman year, I was at MIT. I was at BU like almost every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, or they were coming here. A lot of times I will say the dorm parties of freshmen will get shut down, but that's part of the fun of just kind of like going to a party scene, get shut down, going to a party scene, never get shut down. Like one of the funniest things was when I went to 5 different parties in a span of like 4 hours. And then I went out into the yard to find another party, and it was just 1,000 people just out in the yard, all freshmen, just because there were no other parties to go to. So we all just had like a lit time there. And I think I would be remiss to not mention the hierarchical structure of like, a lot of people mention like fraternities and sororities. So Harvard does have final clubs, and final clubs are just basically like bougie versions of fraternities and sororities, kind of like eating clubs. And you don't really have access to those until about like sophomore, junior, senior year. It's only like 10% of like the Harvard community will ever really take part in those spaces.
Okay, so my next question for you guys.
On 3, I'm going to have you put up a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you
Think the parties at your Ivy is similar to how parties are displayed in college movies. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second to think about some movies, how they look, because they look so lit. So does your school look like that? Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's good. Okay, so you guys just finished a lit night. Do most people go to bed? Do most people go eat? Or do you go to another like bar? What's the move after usually?
Depends what you. Depends what kind of night.
Some schools have like, I could say at Columbia, I know that most kids go straight to JJ's, which is like a dining hall to eat. So like that, we got that, or at Penn they go straight to Smokes, which is a bar. Like, after, you know what I mean? So after your party, is there a designated spot that you all go to next?
Yeah, I'll say at Penn, I mean, there's usually like late nights, they're called. So parties after like the regular parties that'll start at like 1 or 2. So usually people are like searching for those first. And then we'll go to Smokes, which is like our main on-campus bar that like especially athletes are in attendance there usually. I would say like they're the main crowd. But people will usually try and get into Smokes. And if you can't go to Smokes, you go straight to Allegro. Allegro's like the pizza place on the corner, like right on the edge of campus really. And it is a scene anytime you go there in the middle of the night. I'm sure y'all all have the same kind of place on your campus. Like everyone is going there. Half the people are not eating or they're eating other people's food, but you're just walking in, seeing where it takes you, and that's it.
That is so similar to Yale, because like we have this thing called Good Nature Market, which is just like a deli, like a 24-hour deli. We also have late nights too. So like we'll eat there, and then we'll go to like someone's like dorm and stuff and chill. Like usually like we would stay up till like 4 a.m. even though like, you know, we left the party at 12 a.m.
For Harvard, it's like kind of the same. Like there's two spots mainly that people go to. It's 𝐋𝐄𝐓'𝐒 and Pinocchio's, just like a pizza spot. And like this place has like really good burritos, and everybody's just kind of like out on the street there. I don't know about, you know, going in at 12 a.m. That's a little early for us on this side. You know what I mean? We'd be out till like 4, you know what I mean? So after the party, we going to sleep, you know, because we tired. We don't party our way out because that's how we do. But sleep. Nah, but for real, it's actually like, that's the spot. Like, you know, the nights over when 𝐋𝐄𝐓'𝐻e's line is out the window. I mean, out the door.
So yeah, like you said, we do have JJ's if you don't want to spend any money, you just want to use like your dining points or whatever. But we also have Insomnia, and then that closes around 3, so you can always go there for like a nice little like sweet treat. But we also have 2 pizza places. I forgot what the other one's called, but that was my favorite one. And then we have Coronets that is open around, I forgot what time they close, but like you can still go there if you get home around like 2 a.m. On late nights, which 𝐿 Kitchen, I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but that's like really close to Columbia. They have this really bomb rice with some sausage, and me and my friends would usually try to get there. We would try to get home before 2 a.m. so we can get that and then go to sleep. So
I actually have a question to go back to Columbia. Is it nerve-wracking to take the subway like to a party and then take it back home, like back to campus? Is it a little scary?
I mean, definitely as a freshman, like, I mean, actually, me and my friends, we didn't really take the subway just because, like, I'm a germaphobe personally. I don't want all my skin and my outfit to be touching that when I'm there. So usually we would just spend, like, if you have a big enough group, an Uber is way, like, you know, it could be $4 between each people. Like, I've definitely have taken the subway sometimes. Usually people will subway to the destination and then take an Uber home just because sometimes the trains might not be running and you can't, like, account for, like, what's going to happen down there.
If you're still trying to have a night, or if you're not trying to end up in your own bed, people will usually go to TDX, which is our lacrosse frat. And we sometimes we call it like it's TDX o'clock. So like people go there pretty late, around 2 or whatever. But we have late night calls, which is one of our dining halls, and it's open until 2 a.m. So on any given night, you'll see people drunk out of their minds, like getting mod sticks and like spilling marinara sauce everywhere. But then after that, most people just go home because we've probably started early and been drinking the whole time, so they need their rest.
Up on North Campus, where all the freshmen are, there's a dining area called Nasty's. And like clockwork, after the parties, the freshmen come in and they're ordering their food, and it's a mess. So I feel bad for the people that have to work that. But the bars and the clubs close at like 1 exactly in Ithaca. And the food is open later than that. So there's actually a lot of like food trucks are pretty big in Ithaca. So right outside the bars, there's usually a huge line right there for a food truck, which is pretty convenient. And then often people take Ubers back and they do afters, which are smaller gatherings at frat annexes or at like other sports houses, and people try to keep the night going a little longer.
Question. So when you go to the bars or clubs like in Ithaca, is it mostly only Cornell students there, or like is there like Ithaca residents that come? Like who's
I would say it depends. There's a mix of Cornell students and Ithaca College students, pretty much. Every once in a while, there's a few bars that are a little further away that the townies tend to frequent, but so those can get pretty wild too sometimes, which is definitely a different vibe than the Cornell students if you're looking for that. So yeah, there's definitely a mix. So, but there's a lot of intermingling between Cornell and Ithaca College.
How about Brown? Is he frozen? That's the funniest pause.
No, he's frozen. Oh no! Wait, I'm taking a screenshot. That is
he really
so
frozen, flexing too. So, yeah.
That could be like an Instagram post.
So funny. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. Pause on the funniest thing. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Yo,
You were like,
It was just a little flex, man.
Pensive, literally pensive.
and we get it, you're a model. Like, chill out.
So at Brown, we have Mike's Calzones, which is open pretty late. Josiah's or Joe's is our on-campus eatery, dining hall. Josiah's or Joe's is our on-campus eatery, dining hall. And it's like a really retro neon vibes. And so I'm sure you guys know, like wherever the popping dining hall is, it's really fun after a long night.
Wait, so Joe's is a restaurant or a dining hall?
No way he paused again.
No,
He really did.
no, technical
And
difficulty.
he was good again. How did he do that?
It's so funny.
Yo, he always pauses that like he's smirking.
As is freezing on a post.
Freezing so well. What the heck?
Did you guys see anything I said?
Not at all.
No, but
Oh
you
my
paused
God.
and you were like
Paused,
smirking.
yo.
You were like-
I finished talking and then I'm like, oh, no one's face is moving. So, okay. Yeah, it's a Brown dining hall. That's open
That's sick.
late.
That's so cool.
So you use your swipes and
Yeah.
whatnot.
What is the coolest, if there has been one, the coolest themed party that you've gone to? And if you can kind of give us a rundown of what the theme was and what made it so cool.
I love hotel parties. So like when you're in a house and each room has like a different theme or something. So I'm in an off-campus sorority. One of our rush events is usually a hotel party hosted by like one of the frats that we're fairly close with. And it'll be like a holiday general theme. Sometimes it'll be like, one time we did like different countries. Each room would have different, drinks to go with the theme and like different decorations, different outfits.
My favorite frat is GDX, which is the football frat. And every year they host something called GDXmas. So it's like a Christmas party in the middle of fall, I think, or winter, I forget. But basically everyone dresses up in Christmas gear. They put wallpaper all over the walls, like play Christmas music, and it's just such a fun time. That being said, Dartmouth has a theme for every night out. So we have something called Flair, which is our name for just like crazy outfits. And you can literally wear the most ridiculous things. Like some people go out in onesies and that's completely normal. Some people go out in like a complete like sexy outfit and that's normal too. So you can go out in sweats as well. So it's like there's no pressure to like dress up a certain way, but every single on night has a theme. So most people really go out on the ones that they're really excited about. We go out all out on our themes. So you can see some pretty crazy outfits on campus.
So when I visited Dartmouth, I nearly like froze to death. Like it's so cool. Like what do you guys wear like to get to the party? Do you guys wear a coat or do you get stolen or do you just brave it up and just go?
So everyone owns what we call a fracket, which is like a frat jacket. And usually people won't wear like their fancy Canada Goose or Montclair to the frats because the chances of your fracket being stolen are very high unless you find a good hiding spot. So the first thing you do when you walk into a frat is you like look for the best hiding spot for your jacket. And then you just pray to God that it doesn't get stolen. If it does, you have to steal someone else's. That sucks. But it's a dog-eat-dog world. Like, you're not trying to freeze to death. So you got to do what you got to do to make it.
I'm not recommending this, but that's a problem here too as well. And our solution was just don't feel it. So the only way for you not to feel the cold is
oh God.
Is liquid courage, and then you go out in the outfit.
No, it helps. It does help, but we get into the negatives. So it's like no matter
so you're gonna need a lot of courage
you have. I'm just saying, like, ooh, like, unless you have no recollection of the night, chances are like you are gonna be cold, especially in the winter. Yeah.
So you guys are getting into the negatives?
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
All of our schools being in a pretty cold location. Do you guys have like snow parties and like events like that where it's out in the snow? Anybody want to speak on that?
Yeah, I'll say the like infamous Snarty. I don't know if y'all have had any of those, but usually we have at least like one snow day every year where classes are canceled and everything. And then right away, like darties are everywhere. Like everyone's running through the streets in the snow, like wiping out. It's so much fun.
Wait. So for those parties, are you guys, is like part of it like you go out there like no jackets, like you're just out there in the snow just getting lit?
Most people wear jackets for the Snarties because they're staying outside, but there's definitely a select few that are braving it and not doing that.
Man, at Yale, it's similar to Harvard in the sense where all the first years, well, most of the first years live in like one central location. We call it Old Campus at Yale. And there's this iconic like first year snowball. So it's always like the first time like we have like good enough snow to like make a snowball. All the first years congregate like in the first in Old Campus and throw snowballs at each other. One person got pretty hurt. It's a pretty violent game.
Yeah, it gets very cold. So the frackets, again, are a huge deal here. They're pretty much no strings attached with those. Like, you go into the coat room, you just grab any jacket on your way out. It's like, no one blinks an eye. That's just the way it is. So when you go out, you just wear probably the fracket that you picked up the week before. And then you just wear that out and it's gone by the end of the, so yeah, it's just like kind of, I guess, an exchange of jackets every party, which is interesting. I guess on snow days, there are usually darties and everyone definitely wears their good jackets for those because it's so cold. We had last year, we had like a polar vortex where it was like in the negatives for a whole week in a row. And I remember during that week, no one wanted to walk anywhere. So Ubers were definitely in the move. And I would say the whole winter session, like, people Uber everywhere.
The sick thing about Princeton is that like it's super, super small, so everything is kind of walking distance. So it's very rare that you'll ever need an Uber to get home, even if it's brick out. It's also Jersey weather, so it's not quite as bad as like Cornell or Dartmouth, but it still gets pretty chilly at night sometimes. But people still, they still make the trek, and yeah, jackets get stolen like hotcakes at Princeton, which is really ironic because I'm like, aren't y'all supposed to be rich?
You guys touch upon your like spring flings or festivals and kind of like how that works.
I have a question for Brown, though. Y'all's music festival last year seemed lit. Like your lineup was crazy. Like, how was it?
It was it was really lit. I'm not gonna lie. They don't disappoint. In that regard,
like I think the reason why Columbia's party culture is like not so cohesive is because like we don't have like a very strong school spirit, and because we're in the city, even though like there's so much going on, so there's so many more independent people who are like with their own crew or like people just But Bacchanal is our spring fling, and I think that's probably the only time where there's like darties happening everywhere. Everyone wants to turn up. But unfortunately, I've actually never been to any of them because I've always been at a conference. But this year I was going to go, and we were going to have Gucci Mane, and like I was so excited. But for other past years, like we haven't had like really good artists too. So like even then, when I hear other people's like artists going to other schools, I'm like, wow, wish I went there.
I'm incredibly jealous of Brown. I'm not even gonna lie. So I'll talk about our Yard Fest first. So we have like Harvard Yard Fest as well, which is just like this big event where we bring on some like large artists on campus. The best part about that time is just like all of the day parties that are going on with like all the different themes. Those are like 500-person parties. You're outside in sunlight. A lot of them have different themes, and they'll usually have really diverse music sets. So you might jump from Afro beats to hip hop to electronic because they usually have really diverse crowds. That being said, the artists, they're hit and miss. Like last year I believe we had Lil Yachty. The year before that we had Tiesto. But there's like, there's just on the artist. So a lot of students, if they don't like the artist, they'll either just stay at the day parties all day, or if you're really feeling it, you might just go to some of the other like spring fests that are close by, like Brown's. Like some people just drove up to Brown and like went and saw those concerts. So for
Yale Spring Fling, I think it is sometimes hit or miss. Last year was a miss. This year though, oh my gosh, it was going to be such a hit because we were going to have Ari Lennox, Rico Nasty, and the Aces.
Wow.
And it was going to be the first time we were going to have an all-female lineup. We have a Spring Fling committee that, like organizes that. And it's nice because like the Yaleys get to vote for who they want beforehand. So it's not just like the whole process is kind of like, we're in the dark.
For Penn also, it's usually very hit or miss. I haven't ever actually gone to the actual concert on campus, and it usually is because I'm darting all day, and whenever the concert starts, we don't even know that's happening. But yeah, it's so much fun. I would say it usually starts like Thursday night and then goes all the way through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it's just darties every day, events every night. And that I would say is when the like bougiest stuff happens. Or not, these ones might not be as bougie of a vibe, but the most expensive events. We have one that's called Pool Party, which is at this place called Bamboo Bar. That one is like probably the the most coveted event to go to, where like everyone tries to get a ticket there. Everyone's reselling their tickets for like up to $200, and then you're going back and forth from there back to Darties on campus. Like, it's crazy. It's definitely the best weekend of the year at Penn, in my opinion.
Y'all's last year was lit though. Y'all had Miguel, right?
True. That is
Yeah,
true.
I was there. I was there.
You were there?
You were?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, because honestly, because like so many people are like, yo, like have that Harvard Penn comparison in the social life. I was just like, oh, let's go check it out. So we went up, and it was it was as expected. It was a great time. Miguel was fire.
So brunch actually probably, I know I keep saying this one was the bougiest, this and that. I feel like brunch probably is gonna have to take the cake for the most bougie. I've personally never even gone. It mostly is like international students, people that know about it before they even get to Penn, because all of their siblings and cousins have gone to these events. But yeah, it usually, I think this last year was on like this huge battleship, and it's like everyone popping champagne, everyone's dressed like, it's giving me very country club, very, I don't know even how to describe it. But I think sometimes it's also been like on a farm or like at some mansion outside of Philly. Everyone takes like school buses to get there. It's crazy. I really just know about it through the pictures, but it seems like a very interesting time for sure.
What is the endowment fund for UPenn? Because y'all seem bougie. Like, you just saying bougie, mansions, houses, Uber, like castles, country club. I'm just like,
yeah.
what?
I personally don't know the numbers, but it's definitely, it was a culture shock for me, for sure.
So at Cornell, right after the last day of classes, we have our slope day, which is the university like dishes out a ton of money for a pretty large artist. Last year we had Steve Aoki. Most frats have pretty huge historical mansions, like, which are awesome, and they also hire their own artists for the pre-games. The pre-game usually starts with the smaller artists at the frats at around like 10 o'clock, and then by the afternoon, by like 12 or 1, is when everyone from all the smaller parties going on from the whole morning, everyone comes to the slope, and that's where the huge concert is, and it's like it's insane. And a lot of time people don't even make it to the slope, like they just black out, and like if you make it to the slope, then that's an accomplishment for the day and you made it. But yeah, so that's the craziest day of the year at Cornell.
It sounds like a hike the way you said it. If you make it to the top of the mountain, like
yeah. Well, so the slope is like right in the center of Cornell's campus, and it's just they set up the stage at the bottom of the slope, and then the whole hill is basically like pretty much an outdoor amphitheater. The way everyone gets to see the stage. It's pretty cool.
Wait, there's an actual. I thought you meant the slope. I thought it was just like the name of the party. I didn't know there was an actual
the slope.
hill.
The slope is our main hill on campus,
Yo, what?
which is terrible to walk up. So yeah, if you live at the bottom of the slope and you have to walk up to campus every day, it sucks. But for slope day, it's phenomenal.
I'm really curious about Dartmouth's spring fling.
So our spring concert is called Green Key, and our Green Key week really starts on Monday. So every single day of the week, there's some sort of event going on, some sort of party, and then the big concert is on that Friday. People like skip classes on that Friday, start drinking at like 6 a.m. even, and similar to Cornell, it's kind of an accomplishment if you make it to the final concert. Last year, we had Waka Flocka and Codeco, I think, and then the year before that, we had London on the Track come. So it's like, it's hit or miss, but the people who come like usually aren't terrible. It's just a matter of like whether or not you're actually willing to go to the concert. But Green Key is the wildest time. People like stop doing schoolwork for a week, so they'll work really hard the week before and after just for Green Key. We go insane. Like similar to Cornell, there's literally nothing else to do besides be on Dartmouth's campus. So people go all out and like save up all their delinquent energy for the year.
Princeton has these like it happens every semester. It's called Lawn Parties, and it's basically a huge music festival, and we get a lot of artists that come in, and it's completely free to Princeton students, and there's food trucks, and everybody dresses super preppy. So I'm talking like those gross pastel shorts that literally trigger you every time you see it. Like it's that kind of vibe. Usually we get a pretty awesome headliners. Like I think in the fall we had Cupcake, which is really, really different. And then we had A Boogie before. I think like my freshman year we had Cheat Codes, which is a lot of fun. And it's just a vibe. And again, a time to experiment. I myself experimented. It was a vibe. And like, you know, it's work hard, play hard. And we that's where we play the hardest. And it's awesome, and it's just a ton of fun.
I just want to bring up the safety side of parties. If when you go, you feel safe. If anything bad happens, if there's like a medical response team that comes to help, how does that kind of work at you guys' schools?
New Haven has this huge stereotype that it's just like so dangerous. That's also just a little bit of like anti-Black and POC rhetoric going on, if we're being honest. But the nice thing about Yale is that you won't have to like walk anywhere like that's longer than 20 minutes. You can call Yale Shuttle, and basically like you can get a shuttle that will like take you from like where you are to wherever you want to go. That's including like if it's your house, if it's like another frat, like anywhere in New Haven. You can get escorted out by a Yale security guard if you like rather walk and just be with someone there, like like walking with you. And in terms of, I think, like alcohol poisoning and stuff, the nice thing about Yale is that they don't count it as like a misdemeanor. If there's someone who is too intoxicated, you call Yale Health, they'll come to you, they'll like make sure that you're okay, take you to Yale New Haven Hospital. And then afterwards, I think you go to some sort of like alcoholism like meeting, just talking about like the risk of alcohol and making sure that you're drinking alcohol like responsibly.
Does anybody's school have anything different than the shuttles or the walks or the response team?
Cornell has very similar systems in place for safety measures as the other schools. But we also have an organization called Cayuga's Watchers, which actually works with the university, and they basically send undercover sober monitors to all the registered parties on campus, which is pretty cool. You wouldn't even know. They'd just be like anyone else, any other student, but they're there to make sure that everything's safe, and that if anything does happen, they're there to like make sure that the appropriate response team is called, or if they need to approach someone and make sure everyone is feeling safe in the situation, they're there to do that.
That's actually such a smart idea.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Ever like go to a party and you're just like looking for him or her?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, but you have no idea.
Would you say on your campus that you see diversity at the parties, or is it kind of separated by race? Who goes to what parties?
I would say it is pretty diverse depending on like what frat you go to. That being said, there's certain houses that are like very white, for example. And I definitely think diversity just in general at Dartmouth is something that needs to be improved upon. So maybe it's more so just like a reflection of like our student body makeup as opposed to like the parties themselves being racially divided.
Definitely agree with that. The student body makeup is definitely something that needs to be here as well for us to see a big change.
I want to say that Columbia is diverse because we do have so many people from so many different backgrounds, but I definitely do see that in the parties. Like for some of the frat houses, me and my friends have tried to get into them, and they won't even let us in because like me and my friends are like Black and like we're mixed with things. So like because on that like racial discrimination, like we won't get into parties. And then you definitely have like the different socioeconomic kind of groupings at different parties as well.
The craziest thing that you guys have seen at your school, and you just can tell like in a couple words what was happening and what like that scene was like.
At GDX, which is the football house again, in the basement, people will start out the night playing Dartmouth Pong, which is like, it's like beer pong, but you play with ping pong paddles and you play like ping pong to like get it into the cups basically. But when it starts getting more crowded, they'll start throwing the tables off. So even if people are in the middle of a game, like the brothers will like flip the tables and then people start crowding in. So it's just like hilarious. Brothers will like climb on top of the tables and just like jump around and just knock over all the trash cans. And it's such a heinous mess, but it's a lot of fun.
So one thing that Yale has annually is that we host our Black Solidarity Conference. All schools are welcome. All Black people from all different schools are welcome. It was so cool. So in Toads, right, we got 𝐋𝐄𝐓'𝐒 to come. It was so nice to just like party with like so many different like people from like different colleges and stuff.
The thing about Princeton and its diversity is that like if Princeton ever flexes their diversity, they're just kind of flexing the fact that we have every shade of white. So it's kind of it's a bit of a bummer sometimes. So there's this one event at an eating club called Canon. It's called For the Culture, which is like historically an event where the eating club is only open for the Black students on campus, but it slowly has opened up to like ethnic students on campus. For me, it was like one of the littiest nights at Princeton. Like every beat was hit. The dance moves were like fire. Like, it was just such a good time. The music was amazing. Like little events like that, like we get little victories, like us ethnic people at Princeton, which is really, really awesome. And for the culture is definitely one of them.
Probably the littest weekend, especially for incoming freshmen, is Harvard Visitas weekend. I think the best thing that happens is first, there's this really massive student-run fashion/dance show called Eleganza that literally sells out to a stadium of like 1,600 students every single year. I get to perform in it too, so it's like mad fun. So it's like everybody gets lit first off, and that's like an ethereal experience. Then what everybody goes to is this party called Jollies. Now Jollies is like an annual party thrown by the Black Men's Forum, and it's like a party that you'll see from freshmen to seniors, all different types of representation come. Every single freshman on visiting weekend will go. And so when I was like a freshman in pre-frosh, I came in, and you go into this room and they rented out an entire dining hall that like extended mad far back. So you walk in and it's just a room of like 800 people, and you've never had a college experience. So you're just like, oh my God, I'm in a movie. So I go in, the first thing I see is they have these big window walls that like, if you're like shoulder high, you can like look up, and then they start here and then they go all the way to the ceiling. So a bunch of these girls had jumped into the window walls and they were throwing it back, you know what I'm saying? And everybody's going crazy. And they're like, yo, go. And I'm like, yo, what is this? I ain't never seen it before. All of a sudden, at the same time, out of nowhere, it's like some alphas start strolling. So they got the whistles blowing, like, you know what I'm saying? Everything. So when I imagined Harvard, I didn't imagine seeing so many Black people. To see so many Black people there and to see it like that lit, it was a phenomenal experience. Long story short, we got kicked out and banned from that room because we broke 3 windows and a door. So it was a good time.
Wait, Mike, it was a fashion show?
Yeah, so what it is, so it's like a dance show, but it's also a fashion show. So it's like you have a walkway and it'll go out. And so people will walk, but then they'll also just like hit choreo. And it's probably...
Yo, I want to see that.
I've seen it. It's amazing.
What is it called?
And
is
not
it on
only
YouTube?
that, but
Can I
like
watch it?
they have floor seat. They have like standing, like you can stand around the stage.
There's a VIP section that you can like get to where like you're standing like in front of the stage, and there's like hundreds of people around the stage. So if you're like down there, everybody goes and they just get lit and like, you know what I'm saying, drink or whatever, and they go there and they're just rowdy. So they're like banging on the stage. They're like, ah!
I'm dead.
And then in the background, there's just like a whole arena of people. So when the people come out, it's just like, it's just
crazy.
It's crazy.
Like in New York, there's definitely been like some celebrity sightings. I can't remember the exact ones I've seen there, but there's one time I went to a club and like the New York Jets or Giants came in, one of those football teams. I think one of those football teams. But and then they bought like us some drink, like me and my friends some drinks. So that was
really awesome.
Did you see like celebrities often when you go out, or do you have to go to really expensive clubs?
I mean, again, that like depends on who you know. Like if you're a promoter, and like girls can get in free with a promoter, but again, for the guys, that'll be like 120. So it's kind of harder for guys to party in the city. So it just depends on who you know and like what promoters you know that can get you into certain events.
I would say one of the craziest things for me when I first got there, and one of the most fun nights that I've had, is some of the rush events that the different fraternities have, or like date nights where everyone invites someone to come with them as well. The yacht night where they get buses, like party buses, to come for everyone to drive all the way from Penn to New York City, and we like go on this yacht and go by the Statue of Liberty and everything, and it's really fun. It's definitely absurd because we leave at like 6 p.m. and are on this party bus, and we start drinking then, and we don't get back till like 4 in the morning. So those bus rides on the way home are a little bit, they're a lot, but it's really fun.
So at Cornell, there's it's pretty popular for frats to build these like risers or like homemade tables just for pong, or for a lot of times girls like to get up on the tables and dance. And I remember this one specific party, someone was swinging from a chandelier at one point, and people saw that and it just turned the place upside down. Everyone got up on the risers, started jumping, and like brought the place down. Every single table was destroyed within like 15 minutes. It was like a riot in there. It was insane, and it all started with that one guy swinging from a chandelier. It was crazy, and then they threw a table out a window. It was, and then cops showed, and like everyone just booked it out of there. It was
Crazy.
How did my mans get to the chandelier?
I don't know if he jumped from a table to the chandelier or how he got up there, but I just saw him swinging, and it was crazy.
We have a Caribbean themed party. I'm Jamaican, so when I heard that was going on, I was real lit. And everyone came. So the place is full of people, and they started off like kind of luring everybody in. Everyone from, I'll say, different ethnicities are like, oh, wow, this is like hip hop, and I can dance this, a little bit techno. And then vibes, boom, you know, alkaline, everyone started coming on, and I came alive. Shirts were off, we're on top of different things. At one point, we're next to the DJ playing songs and jumping off like the DJ booth, kind of just like jumping on top of the booth that's kind of elevated, and just letting everyone know how to move their hips, letting everybody know how to go, just running around, whether you're Jamaican, Haitian, anything. And when you dancing is just fun. It's Trinidadian, it's how you express yourself. You move your hips, you have a good time. So at first, when the music started going, people are like, I've never heard of this. Like what's happening? Everyone then understood it, and I'm seeing like a lineman from my team who's like 360, and he's just like dancing with a girl, and I'm just like, I see, you know, a kid that I'm coding with, you know, in class, and he's like bent, he's down so low, he's parallel to the floor. Things got a little rowdy. People are jumping off of things onto people. I lost, I think, almost a whole bunch of articles clothing. And then the party then continued from there into the dorms we were staying in Andrews Hall. What was happening was the whole top of Andrews was just different Caribbean vibes, because people were just so inspired to just share their culture, grabbing flags, and then just running around.
What I'm going to have you guys do for the last thing, after hearing all of the parties and tips and tricks of each Ivy, I want you to take a second to think, if you can't say your schools first, which Ivy would you want to party at the most? And I'm going to call you by schools. So I'm going to start with Donna.
I think I have to give UPenn a shot. I need to experience it for myself. I think that's my final answer.
How about Harvard?
I know Brown just sounds kind of live. That last rendition kind of sold me a little bit. That sounds like my vibe. I might have to go on that side.
How about Princeton?
Hats off to Yale. I have to pull up the Toads. I have to. You'll see me there.
Okay, Penn.
I'm going to have to say Brown, too. I feel like the vibes are there.
Okay, so 2 for Brown. How about Cornell?
I'm going to go with UPenn. It sounds, that yacht party, that sold me there.
Come through.
2 for Penn, 2 for Brown. How about Columbia?
I think I party at every campus except for Dartmouth, Brown, and Cornell. But I think out of them, I'd like to go to Brown.
Brown, okay. How about Yale?
Yeah, I would party at every single campus. I was choosing between UPenn and Brown because UPenn is bougie, but Brown has the artsy vibes, and I'm here for it.
Okay, Brown, who would you choose?
I'm gonna have to go with Harvard with that fashion show. Looking at fashion, all that was a busy vibe, and that platform sounds fun.
But it seems like Brown is the best party school. So that pretty much concludes the convo for today. Thank you to all these wonderful people. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I'm pretty sure I want to party right now more than I've ever wanted to party in my entire life. Those parties sounded so lit. Make sure you guys put questions down below if you have any questions about the university party scene. They'll come back on Friday to answer those questions and also share a story about their all-time favorite party. So make sure you tune in on Friday. Otherwise, smash that subscribe button and press the notification bell so you can know when I post, which is every Monday, Friday. Catch you guys at the next kickback.